Have you ever loved someone who shares the same face as another? How can your heart recognize the right soul when your eyes see the same reflection twice? The executive office on the top floor of Kang Tower in Gangnam had a panoramic view of the Han River, but Kang Junwoo hadn't looked out the window in months. At 34 years old, he commanded Kang Industries, a technology and semiconductor conglomerate employing tens of thousands. His decisions moved billions of won in the market. But today, the most important decision had nothing to do with business. Today, he would finally divorce Song Mina. 3 years. 3 years of a marriage that existed only on paper and in public appearances. Separate bedrooms, polite, empty conversations, business dinners where she smiled perfectly at his side, playing the role of CEO's wife with mechanical precision. But no warmth, no connection, no love. The marriage had been his mother's idea. The Song family has proper lineage. Mina studied in Europe, speaks 4 languages, knows how to conduct herself in society. She's exactly what you need. What his mother didn't say, but he understood perfectly, was, "Forget that other girl. Her sister isn't suitable for our family." Junwoo picked up the divorce papers from his desk. Everything was prepared. Generous financial settlements. He wasn't petty, even if the marriage had been a mistake. Mina would receive an apartment in Cheongdam-dong, a substantial sum of money, and keep all the jewelry he'd given her during the marriage. In return, she would sign the papers without drama, and they would move on with separate lives. Simple, civilized, final. His secretary, Kim Tae-min, entered after knocking discreetly. "Sir, your wife called. She's asking to postpone the meeting by an hour. She's at the beauty salon in Apgujeong." "That's fine. Reschedule for 3 o'clock at the Gangnam district office." "Already arranged, sir." Taemin hesitated. "Sir, if I may." Mrs. Song seemed different on the phone. Different how? I couldn't say exactly. Her tone, perhaps. More animated. Junwoo frowned. In 3 years of marriage, Mina had always maintained perfect, cold composure. Animated wasn't a word he would associate with her. But perhaps she was simply relieved the marriage would finally end, just as he was. The phone rang. It was his younger sister, Kang Soo-jin. "Appa, are you sure about this? The divorce?" "Absolutely." "Soo-jin, you know this marriage never should have happened." "I know. But Mother will be furious." "Mother has been furious for 3 years because Mina didn't get pregnant. Maybe now she'll leave me alone." There was a pause. "Are you going to look for her? After the divorce?" Junwoo didn't need to ask who his sister was talking about. "I don't know. It's been 3 years, Soo-jin. She's probably moved on. You should at least try. Appa, we all knew you loved Haerin, not Min-ah. It was a terrible mistake from the beginning." "A mistake I'm correcting today." After hanging up, Junwoo allowed himself to think about Song Haerin for the first time in months. Min-ah's twin sister. Identical in appearance. Same expressive brown eyes, same silky black hair, same delicate bone structure, but completely different in every other way. Mina was cold, calculating, concerned with status and appearances. Haerin was warm, kind, passionate about art and literature. Mina spoke 5 languages, but never said anything with real substance. Haerin could spend hours discussing poetry, philosophy, dreams. He'd met Haerin first, 4 years ago, at an art gallery in Samcheong-dong. She was admiring a landscape painting of Mount Seorak, and they'd started talking. The connection was instant, electric. Within weeks, they were in love. But then he'd met her family. The twins' mother, a widow and bitter, made it clear that Haerin, the younger daughter by 20 minutes, wasn't appropriate for a chaebol heir. Haerin is an artist, a dreamer. She knows nothing about business or society. Mina, on the other hand, was raised to be the wife of an important man. and his own mother had agreed enthusiastically. The older daughter is much more suitable, more mature, more refined. The family pressure was relentless. Hye-rin, sensitive and not wanting to cause conflict, pulled away. If your family and my family think Mina is better for you, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not strong enough for this world. She'd walked out of his life before he could convince her otherwise. And Junwoo, young and cowardly, gave in to the pressure. He married Mina 6 months later, in a grand ceremony at the Shilla Hotel that felt more like a corporate merger than a celebration of love. On their wedding night, Mina made things clear. I don't expect love from this marriage, and I assume you don't either. We'll maintain appearances in public. In private, we live our own lives. You can have your mistresses if you want. I have my freedom. Simple as that. Except it wasn't simple. It was empty. And Junwoo never had mistresses. Not because he was virtuous, but because he couldn't stop thinking about Hye-rin. Couldn't forget what he'd lost. At 2:30, Junwoo left the office and headed to the car. His driver, Mr. Park, would take him to the Gangnam district office, where Mina should already be waiting. Traffic was light, and they arrived 15 minutes early. But Mina wasn't there. He called her cell phone. Voicemail. Called again. Voicemail. At 3:15, she still hadn't appeared. The district office clerk looked impatient. Mr. Kang, we have other appointments. Just a few more minutes. Taemin was trying to locate Mina through her phone's GPS. Sir, the signal is... This is strange. The last record shows she was in Uido, near Mapo Bridge. Mapo Bridge? What would she be doing there? I don't know, sir. The phone is turned off now. A chill ran down Junwoo's spine. Mapo Bridge was known for something else. A place where people occasionally... No, Mina wouldn't do that. She had no reason to. The divorce was civilized, the terms generous. But then why would she be there? His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered quickly. Junwoo. The voice was soft, familiar in a way that made his heart jump. It's Hye-rin. We need to talk. It's about Mina. Hye-rin? Where are you? At Severance Hospital. Mina is here. There was an accident. The world seemed to tilt. What kind of accident? Her car. She drove through the barrier at Mapo Bridge. The car went into the river. Someone pulled her out, but... Hye-rin's voice trembled. You need to come. Please. Junwoo ran to the car. Severance Hospital quickly. During the 20-minute drive, his mind spun. Had Mina tried to kill herself? On the day of their divorce? It made no sense. She didn't love him. She'd made that painfully clear for 3 years. Unless he'd misunderstood everything. The hospital was chaotic when he arrived. Junwoo rushed to the emergency room, where Hye-rin was waiting. Seeing her face after 3 years was like a punch to the stomach. Still so beautiful, still with those gentle eyes he loved. She wore simple clothes, jeans and a sweater, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. How is she? Stable for now. They pulled her out of the river in time, but she swallowed a lot of water. She's sedated. Hye-rin looked at him with an expression he couldn't decipher. Junwoo, did you know she was suffering? Suffering. Hye-rin, I don't understand. Mina never showed. Of course she didn't show. My sister never shows what she really feels. But today, before she left home, she called me. Said she was going to meet you at the district office. Said she would finally be free. Hye-rin crossed her arms, protecting herself. Free to do what she always wanted to do but never had the courage. End everything. You're saying she planned this? That it was suicide? I don't know. The police found a note in the car. It was wet, but they could read it. Hye-rin pulled out a photo on her phone and showed him. Min-ah's handwriting, smudged but legible. I'd rather die as your wife than live as nothing to you. Junwoo felt nauseous. No, this doesn't. Hae-rin, you know your sister. She doesn't love me. She said so herself on our wedding night, that she didn't expect love from this marriage. People lie, Junwoo, especially about their own feelings. Hae-rin turned to the window, looking out at the city. Mina was always too proud to admit vulnerability, but she called me sometimes, late at night, drunk, crying. She said you never really looked at her, that you kept your distance as if she were poison, that she was trapped in a marriage with a man who loved someone else. She knew. About us? Of course she knew. We're identical twins, Junwoo. How could she not know that you looked at her and saw my face? How could she not realize that every time you avoided her, it was because being close to her reminded you of what you'd lost? Guilt hit Junwoo like a wave. I never meant to hurt her. But you did. And now... Hae-rin wiped her eyes. Now she's in there, fighting for her life. A doctor emerged from the emergency room. Family of Song-mina? Yes, Junwoo and Hae-rin answered simultaneously. She's stable, but unconscious. There's brain trauma from the impact. Not severe, but present. We won't know the full extent until she wakes up. Could be hours, could be days. You can see her briefly. The woman in the hospital bed looked small and fragile, connected to tubes and monitors. Her face was pale, scratched, but still unmistakably the face Junwoo saw every day at home, and also the face he loved on someone else. I'm sorry, he whispered, though she couldn't hear him. I'm sorry for everything. Hae-rin touched his shoulder gently. It's not your fault. It's all of our faults. Our mothers, society, expectations. We all contributed to this. Are you staying? For now. Someone needs to be here when she wakes up. I'll stay too. Hae-rin looked at him with surprise. You don't have to. She's my wife. Until the papers are signed, she's my responsibility. Something passed across Hae-rin's face. Sadness, perhaps, or resignation. All right, I'll get coffee. As she left, Junwoo sat beside the bed, looking at Mina. For the first time in 3 years, he really looked at her. Not through her, not past her, but at her. He tried to see the woman behind the cold mask, the person who had perhaps suffered in silence while he suffered out loud. Had he been so obsessed with Hae-rin that he hadn't noticed Mina falling in love with him? Or was it just wounded pride? The humiliation of knowing her husband preferred her twin sister. Mina woke up 3 days later. Junwoo was at the office when he got the call from Hae-rin. She's awake. She's confused, but awake. The doctors are examining her now. He arrived at the hospital in 30 minutes. Hae-rin met him outside the room with a grave expression. There's a problem. A big problem. What? She doesn't remember. Anything. The brain trauma caused retrograde amnesia. She doesn't know who she is. Doesn't remember you. Doesn't remember me. The doctors say it could be temporary, but there are no guarantees. Junwoo was stunned. Nothing? She doesn't remember anything? Some fragments, maybe, but confused. She's scared and disoriented. When she saw me, she started crying and asking who I was. It's like the last 30 years of her life have been erased. Can I see her? Hae-rin nodded and led him inside. Mina was sitting up in bed, looking small and vulnerable in a way he'd never seen. Her eyes widened when he entered. Who are you? Her voice was soft, hesitant. I'm Kang Junwoo, your husband. She looked at Hae-rin, then back at him. Husband, we're married. Yes, for 3 years. 3 years, she repeated, as if the words had no meaning. I don't remember. I don't remember you. I don't remember anything. Tears began streaming down her face. Why don't I remember? Hiren moved closer and took Mina's hand. It's okay. You had an accident. The doctors say your memory might come back with time. Mina looked at Hiren with a strange expression. You look familiar. Like I should know you. I'm your sister. Your twin sister. Twin? Mina touched her own face, then looked at Hiren. We're identical? Yes. Then how? How does he know which of us is which? Mina looked at Junwoo with something like fear in her eyes. It was a good question. How did he know? In this moment, looking at her, confused and vulnerable and scared, she looked exactly like Hiren would in the same situation. I just know, he said, but the certainty in his voice rang false, even to his own ears. The doctors came in and asked everyone to leave while they did more tests. In the hallway, Junwoo and Hiren stood in awkward silence. What are you going to do? Hiren finally asked. What can I do? She's my wife. I can't abandon her now, especially not after. He let the sentence trail off. After she tried to kill herself because of you? We don't know if that's what happened. Maybe it was an accident. Junwoo, you saw the note. Notes can mean many things. Maybe she was just being dramatic, and she lost control of the car. Hiren shook her head. You were always good at deceiving yourself. And you? He said, sharper than he intended. What are you going to do? Are you finally going to admit we made a terrible mistake 3 years ago? That I should have fought for you, and you should have fought for me? It doesn't matter anymore, does it? Why not? Because she's in there, with no memories, scared and alone. And I'm her sister, Junwoo. No matter what happened between us, she's my twin. I won't abandon her. Neither will I. But that doesn't mean what I feel for you has disappeared. Hiren stared at him for a long moment. You need to forget what you feel for me. Mina needs you now. She needs stability, support, someone to help her rebuild her life. And you? Where do you fit in this? I'm the sister. That's all. But they both knew nothing about the situation was simple. The following days were a blur of medical consultations, therapists, and frustrated attempts to awaken Mina's memories. She left the hospital a week later, physically healed, but mentally a blank slate. Junwoo took her home, the penthouse in Hanamdong they shared, though on opposite sides. Mina walked through the apartment like a stranger, touching furniture, looking at photographs, trying to feel some spark of recognition. We sleep in separate bedrooms? She asked, noticing the 2 master suites. Yes, you always liked having your own space. Oh. She seemed hurt by the information, though she didn't know why. Hiren visited every day, bringing things she thought might awaken Mina's memories. Old photographs, childhood objects, songs they used to listen to. But nothing worked. Mina remained lost in her own life. And something strange began to happen. Without her memories, without years of coldness and resentment, Mina was different. She smiled more easily, laughed at silly jokes, showed genuine curiosity about the world, asked questions about Junwoo's business, and actually seemed interested in the answers. She was, in other words, like Hiren. Or perhaps Junwoo thought with disturbance, Mina had always been like this underneath, and only the unhappiness of the marriage had made her cold. Tell me about when we met, Mina asked one evening as they had dinner in the apartment. It was the first proper meal they'd shared in 3 years. Junwoo hesitated. It was at a charity event. You were there with your mother. And we fell in love? Eventually. The lie tasted bitter. But you don't love me now, do you? The question was soft, without accusation. He stared at her, shocked by the frankness. Why do you say that? Because you look at me like you're seeing someone else. And because there are separate bedrooms, and because... She hesitated. Because sometimes when Hiren is here, you look at her the way I imagine a husband should look at his wife. Junwoo had no answer for that. It's okay, Mina said gently. I don't remember our past, so I can't be hurt by it. I'd just like to understand. It's complicated. Complicated things are usually the most interesting. So he told her. Not everything. He spared many painful details, but enough. About meeting Hiren first. About the family pressure. About marrying the wrong sister. Mina listened in silence, her face expressionless. When he finished, she just nodded. So I stole you from her. Or our families forced us into this marriage. Either way, I'm in her place. It wasn't your fault. But it wasn't your choice either. She smiled sadly. What a strange life I had. Married to a man who loved my twin sister. No wonder I was unhappy enough to. She stopped, remembering what the doctors had told her about the accident. You don't remember the accident? No. But they told me about the note they found, about driving to the bridge. She looked at her own hands. I keep wondering what kind of person I was, what kind of pain I must have felt to do that. You don't have to be that person now. Don't I? But I'm still her, even without memories. The accident didn't turn me into a different person. I just forgot who I was. It was true, and Junwoo had no answer. 1 month passed, then 2. Mina slowly rebuilt a life. Not the old one, but a new one. She started painting, something she'd apparently never done before, took cooking classes, laughed more, and Junwoo found himself liking her. Not the way he loved Hiren, that fierce, consuming passion, but a gentle, growing affection for the woman his wife had become without the weight of her memories. Hiren noticed. You're falling in love with her, she said one afternoon when they met for coffee while Mina was at her painting class. No, I'm just getting to know her. It's the same thing, Junwoo, and I don't blame you. My sister, without all the bitterness and pain, is a wonderful person. She always was. Are you angry? No, I'm sad. Hiren stirred her coffee absently. Because she's me, in a way. Identical on the outside, similar on the inside when all the defenses are down. You're falling in love with her because she reminds you of me. But she's not me. Maybe it's not you she's reminding me of. Maybe it's who she really is. What if her memories come back? What if she becomes the cold, resentful woman she was? Then we'll deal with it when it happens. But the chance of if was about to become when. It happened on an ordinary day in April, during the Cherry Blossom Festival. Junwoo took Mina to the Han River to see the flowers, something she'd requested. They walked the petal-strewn paths, and Mina seemed genuinely happy. Thank you for doing this, she said, lacing her fingers through his, a gesture that had become natural over the past weeks. I know I'm not really your wife, not in the way that matters. But you've been so kind, so patient. You are my wife. Memories or lack of them don't change that. They stopped near Mapo Bridge, not the same part where the accident had happened, but close enough to see it. Mina went rigid, staring at the bridge. Mina, are you okay? I've been here before. Her voice was strange, distant. I was here on the day of the accident. Do you remember? I see fragments. I was furious. No, not furious. Desperate. She pressed her hands to her temples. Was there someone with me? In the car? No. You were alone? No, I wasn't. There was someone else. I see a face, but I can't. She stumbled, and Junwoo caught her. Let's go home. This is too much. But it was too late. The dam was broken, and memories began flooding back, fragmented at first, then torrential. They returned to the apartment, where Mina sat on the couch, eyes glazed, silently processing years of returning memories. Junwoo called Hae-rin and the doctor. When Hae-rin arrived, Mina looked at her and said, "You were there, in the car, on the day of the accident." Hae-rin went pale. "Mina, you were there, and we were arguing. You were trying to make me change my mind, about—" She looked at Junwoo, then back at Hae-rin. "About ending everything." "Yes," Hae-rin admitted quietly. "I was. I got your suicide message and caught up with you at the bridge. I got into your car, tried to talk to you, make you see reason. But you were determined. You said if you couldn't have him, you didn't want to live. I tried to grab the keys, and we struggled, and the car. The car went off the road." Junwoo was shocked. "Why didn't you ever tell me this?" "Because I felt guilty. If I hadn't struggled with her for the keys, maybe she would have just gone home. Maybe she wouldn't have crashed." Tears ran down Hae-rin's face. "And then, when she woke up with no memories, I thought it was a second chance. For her. For all of us." "A second chance," Mina repeated, her tone growing cold, the old Mina returning. "For you to steal my husband while I conveniently didn't remember he was mine? No, I never, but you wanted to. I saw the way you looked at each other. I saw how you came every day, bringing little gifts, building new memories to replace the old ones. You were rewriting our story, making him fall in love with you through me." "That's not true," Hae-rin protested, but her voice was weak. Mina turned to Junwoo. "And you. You fell in love with the version of me who didn't know she should hate you, who didn't remember 3 years of you treating me like an inconvenience. You fell in love with a fantasy." "Mina, please." "No." She stood, backing away from him. "Don't touch me. Don't you dare touch me. You know what I remember now. I remember every night I spent alone in that separate bedroom, wishing you would knock on my door. I remember every social event where you looked through me like I was glass. I remember finding out you loved Hae-rin, that you'd married me only because our mothers forced it." "You knew that from the beginning," Junwoo said quietly. "You said, on our wedding night, that you didn't expect love." "I lied." The words came out as a scream. "Of course I lied. I'd been in love with you for years, since the day Hae-rin first brought you home to meet the family. I saw you look at her, and I wanted so badly for you to look at me that way. So when our mothers said I should marry you, I thought you'd finally see me. I thought that, with time, you'd learn to love me." "Mina," Hae-rin began, her voice full of pity. "No, don't pity me. You have everything. His attention, his love, his devotion. You don't need my life, too. I never wanted your life. But you have it." Mina laughed, a bitter sound. "And you know what's funny? For 2 months, without my memories, I was happy. Really happy. Because I didn't know better. I didn't know I should build walls. I didn't know he looked at me and saw you. I just existed, and it was enough. But now, knowing everything, I'm back in that prison, married to a man who hates me, living in my perfect sister's shadow." "I don't hate you," Junwoo said quietly. "Then what do you feel?" Mina's eyes were wild. "Do you love me? The real me, with all my memories, all my bitterness, all my pain? Or do you love that fantasy woman who didn't know any better?" Junwoo opened his mouth, then closed it. He didn't have an answer. "That's what I thought." Mina walked to the bedroom, her old bedroom, not the one she'd been using, and locked the door. Hae-rin and Junwoo stood in the living room, the weight of the situation crushing them both. "What do we do now?" Hae-rin whispered. "I don't know. But we can't go back to how things were. None of us can." Over the following weeks, the household became a powder keg of tension. Mina refused to speak to either of them. She moved through the apartment like a ghost, cold and distant as she'd been before, but now with an edge of something darker. Not just resignation, but active resentment. Junwoo tried to talk to her multiple times, but she shut him down every time. What is there to say? You got what you wanted, a divorce. The papers are still valid. We just need to sign them. Mina, I don't want... What? You don't want what? To hurt me? Too late for that. To fix this? It can't be fixed. To pretend those 2 months meant something? They didn't. They were a lie. Just like our entire marriage. They weren't a lie to me. She laughed bitterly. Of course they were. You fell in love with someone who wasn't me. I was just wearing a mask called amnesia. Haerin stopped visiting. I'm making things worse, she told Junwoo over the phone. Every time Mina sees me, it reminds her of everything. Maybe if I stay away, you two can figure this out. So there's nothing to figure out. She wants the divorce. Do you? Junwoo realized he didn't know anymore. 3 months ago, the answer was yes. 2 months ago, when Mina had no memories, he'd thought maybe they could start over. But now, with the old Mina back, cold and hurt and angry, he didn't know what he wanted. The turning point came on a rainy evening in May. Junwoo came home from work to find Mina sitting on the balcony in the rain, completely soaked. She didn't seem to notice or care. Mina, what are you doing? He rushed out and tried to pull her inside. Leave me alone. You'll get sick. Good. Maybe I'll catch pneumonia and die, and then everyone's problems will be solved. The words chilled him more than the rain. Don't say that. Why not? It's true. You'd be free. Haerin would be free. I'd be free from this nightmare of a life. Junwoo knelt in front of her, rain soaking through his expensive suit. Listen to me. I know I've hurt you. I know this marriage has been a disaster. But I don't want you to die. I never wanted that. What do you want then? I want... He hesitated, then decided on honesty. I want to understand who you really are. Not the cold woman you've been for 3 years. Not the amnesiac woman with no memories. The real you, underneath all the pain and anger. Why? So you can feel less guilty? No. Because those 2 months when you had no memories, I saw something. Someone warm and kind and full of life. And I keep thinking, if that person exists inside you, then maybe the past 3 years have been a lie on both our parts. Maybe we've both been hiding behind walls, punishing each other for a situation neither of us wanted. I'm not hiding behind walls. This is who I am. Cold, bitter, resentful. The woman you liked was fake. Was she? Or was she you without the weight of our failed marriage crushing you? Mina stared at him for a long moment, rain streaming down her face mixing with tears. I don't know. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know if the woman without memories was more real than the woman I am now. I'm so tired, Junwoo. Tired of hurting. Tired of hating you. Tired of hating myself for loving you anyway. You love me? I've always loved you. From the moment I met you. That's the worst part. I can't stop. Even though you've never loved me back. Junwoo took her cold hands in his. I think I was starting to. Not with the woman you were before. And not just with the woman you were without memories. But with the person I'm beginning to understand you really are. Someone who's been hurt so deeply that you built walls to protect yourself. Someone brave enough to marry a man knowing he loved your sister, hoping that somehow it would work out. Someone passionate enough to feel things so intensely that you'd rather die than live without love. Don't romanticize my suicide attempt. I'm not. I'm saying that the depth of your feeling, even when it's destructive, shows me you're not the cold person you pretend to be. You feel everything intensely. You just learn to hide it behind ice. Mina pulled her hands away. Pretty words, but they don't change anything. You still love Heirin. Do I? Or do I love the memory of her? The fantasy of what we could have been? Junwoo sat back on his heels. I've been thinking about this a lot. I thought I loved Heirin, but maybe what I really loved was the idea of her, the escape she represented, the passion, the art and poetry. But I never really knew her, not deeply. We dated for 6 months before our families interfered. 6 months isn't enough to really know someone. It's enough to fall in love with a fantasy. And me? What am I, if not the nightmare version of that fantasy? You're real. Complicated and difficult and hurt. But real. And those 2 months when you had no memories taught me something. That underneath your defenses, there's a person I could love. Not because you remind me of Heirin, but because you're yourself. I don't know if I believe you. I don't expect you to. Not yet. But Mina, I'm asking for a chance. Not to go back to how things were, but to start over. Really start over, with honesty this time. No more pretending. No more walls. Just 2 people trying to figure out if they can build something real from the ruins of what we had. And if we can't, then we sign the divorce papers and move on. But at least we'll know we tried. Mina looked at him for a long moment, searching his face for something. Finally, she said, I'm going to change out of these wet clothes. You should too. It wasn't agreement, but it wasn't refusal either. It was a start. The next 6 months were harder than anything Junwoo had ever experienced in business. Marriage counseling, individual therapy for both of them. Long, painful conversations where they unpacked 3 years of hurt and misunderstanding. Mina's walls came down slowly, reluctantly, but they came down. She told him about growing up as the responsible twin, always in Heirin's artistic shadow. About her mother's constant comparisons, always making it clear that Mina was valued for her practical skills while Heirin was the beloved creative one. About falling in love with him and thinking that finally, someone might choose her first. But you didn't, she said during one session. You chose Heirin, and when you couldn't have her, you settled for me. Do you know what that did to me? Being second choice? Knowing every day that you wished I was someone else? Junwoo told her about the pressure from his family, the expectations to marry appropriately, his own cowardice in not fighting for what he wanted. But I also need to be honest. I don't know if what I wanted was real. I was 28 years old, rebellious against my family, attracted to everything Heirin represented that was different from my world. Maybe I was in love with the idea of freedom, not with her specifically. Does that make it better or worse? Mina asked. I don't know. But it means we were both victims of circumstances, of families, of our own fears. We didn't choose each other, but we're choosing now. Doesn't that count for something? Heirin, true to her word, stayed away. But she sent a letter, which Mina showed Junwoo. Dear Mina and Junwoo, I've been thinking a lot about the 3 of us, and I realize I need to say some things. Mina, I love you. You're my twin, my other half, and I'm sorry for everything that's happened. I should have fought harder against our mother when she pushed you into that marriage. I should have been honest with Junwoo instead of running away. I was selfish and cowardly, and you paid the price. Junwoo, I need you to know something. I loved you, but I also loved the fantasy of you, the handsome Chibol who was different from the stiff businessmen I'd met, who talked about art and dreams. But we never had the chance to see if that love was real or just infatuation. And I think, if I'm truly honest, it was mostly infatuation. I was young and romantic, and you represented something exciting and forbidden. I'm living in Shanghai now. I've opened a gallery here, showing contemporary Korean artists. I'm dating someone, a Chinese art dealer named Chen Wei. He's kind and passionate about his work, and I'm happy. Really happy, in a way that's different from the dramatic passion I felt at 25. I'm telling you this because I want you both to know that I've moved on. Not because I don't care about you both, but because I realize that sometimes the greatest act of love is letting go. You two have a chance to build something real, without my shadow between you. Please take it. With love, Hye-rin. Mina folded the letter carefully. She sounds happy. She does. Are you disappointed? Junwoo thought about it honestly. No, I'm relieved. It gives us permission to move forward without guilt. Do you think we can? Move forward? I think we're already doing it. And they were. Slowly, carefully, they were building something new. Not the cold, distant marriage of before. Not the fantasy relationship of Mina's amnesia period. But something real, messy and complicated, with arguments and setbacks, but also with genuine connection. Mina continued painting and discovered she had real talent. Her work was dark and emotional, exploring themes of identity and duality. Junwoo attended her first gallery showing, watching with pride as strangers admired her art. They're about us, she told him, standing in front of a particularly striking piece showing two faces, identical but with different expressions. About being twins, about being confused for someone else, about losing and finding identity. They're beautiful. They're honest. That's better than beautiful. Junwoo started making changes at work too. He'd been running Kang Industries the way his father had, ruthlessly, focused only on profits. But he began to see the company differently, implementing ethical practices, profit sharing for employees, environmental initiatives. You've changed, his mother said during a family dinner. She'd been cold to both of them since they'd decided to work on the marriage instead of divorcing. You're not the son I raised. No, Junwoo agreed. I'm better than that. Mina reached for his hand under the table, a silent show of support. 1 year after Mina's accident, they went back to Maple Bridge together. Are you sure about this? Junwoo asked. I need to face it. I can't let fear of this place control me. They walked to the spot where her car had gone over. Someone had placed flowers there. Not for her specifically, but as a memorial for all the lives lost at this place. I was so lost that day, Mina said quietly, so hurt and angry and convinced that life wasn't worth living without being loved. But I understand now. I was looking for love in the wrong place. I was looking for you to complete me, to validate my existence. But the truth is, I had to learn to love myself first. The person I was without memories could do that, could just exist without needing external validation. I'm trying to be her again, but consciously this time. And us? Where do we fit? We're figuring it out. We're choosing each other every day, which is different from being chosen once by society and family. It's harder, but it's real. Junwoo put his arm around her. I'm glad you survived. I'm glad I got a chance to really know you. Me too. Even though the path here was terrible. They stood together, watching the river flow beneath the bridge, two people who'd almost lost everything finding their way back to solid ground. 2 years after that, Mina gave birth to their daughter. They named her Ji-hee, wisdom and joy. She has your eyes, Junwoo said, holding the tiny baby in the hospital room. She has our eyes, Mina corrected. Mine and Hye-rin's. She's carrying all of us forward. Hye-rin came to visit from Shanghai, bringing gifts and congratulations. The tension that once existed between the three of them had mellowed into something more peaceful. Not exactly comfortable, but honest. She's beautiful, Hye-rin said, looking at her niece. I'm happy for you both. Really happy. Thank you, Mina said, and thank you for your letter. It gave us permission to move forward. You didn't need my permission. Maybe not, but it helped. Hayrin stayed for 3 days, and when she left, it was with hugs and promises to video call regularly. The sisters had found their way back to each other, not as rivals, but as family. 5 years after the accident, Junwoo and Mina sat on their balcony watching Jihee play in the living room. She was a spirited child, full of questions and creativity. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened?" Mina asked. "If there had been no accident? If I'd just signed the divorce papers that day?" "Sometimes, but I try not to dwell on it. I think we would have divorced. You would have tried to find Hayrin, discovered she'd moved to Shanghai, maybe pined for a while. I would have been bitter and alone. We both would have been unhappy." Probably true. So, in a strange way, that accident, as terrible as it was, saved us. It forced us to confront everything. It stripped away my defenses through amnesia and showed you who I could be without walls. Then when my memories came back, we had to do the real work of accepting both versions of me. Both versions are you. The woman without memories wasn't a different person. She was you without armor. And learning to love both versions, to see how they fit together, that's been the journey. Mina leaned her head on his shoulder. "I never thought I'd be happy in this marriage. I spent 3 years convinced it was a prison, but now I can't imagine my life without you. Even though I'm not perfect, even though I hurt you. Because you're not perfect, and because we've both hurt each other and chosen to heal anyway. Perfect love isn't about never having problems. It's about deciding that the person is worth the work." Jihee ran out to the balcony, climbing into her father's lap. "Appa, tell me a story." "What kind of story?" "A love story, like you and Alma." Junwoo and Mina exchanged glances. "Our love story is complicated, sweetheart." "All the best stories are complicated," Jihee said with the wisdom of a 5-year-old. So Junwoo told her a simplified version, about a man who married the wrong woman for the right reasons, about a woman who loved someone who didn't love her back, about an accident that changed everything, about choosing love even when it was difficult. "And did they live happily ever after?" Jihee asked. "They lived truthfully ever after," Mina answered, "which is better than happily because it's real." Jihee thought about this, then nodded sagely. "Okay, that's a good story." As the sun set over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, the family sat together, not perfect, but real. Not the fairy tale ending anyone would have predicted, but something better. Earned, honest love. Mina had learned she was worth loving even without being first choice. Junwoo had learned that real love meant seeing someone completely, flaws, walls, pain, and all, and choosing them anyway. And together, they'd built something that neither of them could have imagined. A marriage based not on fantasy or family obligation, but on genuine understanding and choice. The woman who'd driven her car into the Han River, desperate and hopeless, had become someone stronger. Not because the pain disappeared, but because she'd learned to live with it, transform it, use it to create art and meaning. And the man who'd been trapped in a loveless marriage had learned that sometimes the greatest love stories aren't about finding the right person, but about becoming the right person for someone. In the distance, Mapo Bridge stood silhouetted against the sunset. No longer a symbol of despair, but a reminder of survival, of second chances, of the long, difficult journey from darkness into light. And in their home, 3 people who'd found each other through the most unlikely circumstances continued building their life together. Not perfect, not easy, but absolutely, completely real.